I think there's a lot of companies who have huge followings because of, obviously, they're known and they have tens of thousands of followers, if not more. And I feel like they're not properly taking advantage of the opportunity that's there.
LinkedIn is what you make of it. People tend to be interested in and follow and react to people, not faceless organizations. Brands are very risk averse. I think social media it's often the question of you got to provide value, and value can mean a lot of different things. Right, welcome to this episode of Teralon Talks. Today we're talking about LinkedIn and corporate comms and communication on LinkedIn and the content that goes with it, and the good, the bad, and the ugly that we've seen, and a bit of our approach as well. Yeah,
so basically I think we're just going to go over what we think companies are doing well, what some companies aren't doing so well, what would we do, basically, we would to approach it for someone, and I think
pretty much. Because I mean, LinkedIn is kind of it's not a new platform, but it's growing massively. They've been around for quite a long time now, but
it's still in its early stages of growth, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely feels very much like Facebook did like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think part of the reason maybe why it's so slow to grow quickly is because maybe people are a bit unsure what to post straight out the gate, because it feels kind of, I don't know, because it's in a work environment, should you say, people might be a bit hesitant to be as expressive. Whereas, when it's something like personal, it's very easy to kind of post what you're doing and stuff, but people might be a bit more conservative.
I think like any social media platform, LinkedIn is what you make of it. I mean, I see people sticking to the kind of work only rule, and I think sometimes if you go to work only and it's just really boring and no one wants to listen, and I've seen the other extreme where some people use it very personally, and bring in a lot of elements of their personal lives on their personal pages and things like that. And of course we have everyone's favorite, the LinkedIn influencer story about that interview with that person who had no experience, but you gave them the job anyway, and now they're your top performer.
Yeah, shout out to Mike Winnet for calling all those peoples out. Yeah, doing God's work, you said.
doing the Lord's work.
Anyway, I think we should probably talk about companies' approaches, because I think there's a lot of companies who have huge followings because of, obviously, they're known and they have tens of thousands of followers, if not more. And I feel like they're not properly taking advantage of the opportunity that's there. I mean, for starters, if you look at some, they'll just be posting links to blog posts, and then everything, basically all their content is technically outside of LinkedIn, and they're just linking out to it rather than having good quality within LinkedIn, which is where really the opportunity should be, and producing good content in there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like most platforms, most websites, LinkedIn want to keep you on their platform. So its algorithm will prefer a video which is natively on LinkedIn for someone to come across and watch it, because they watch it and they stay on LinkedIn rather than clicking out to an external site where they can then be drawn away. And to LinkedIn, what really matters, like all other platforms, is that you spend as long as possible on their platform. It's worth trying to bring as much content as you can natively onto LinkedIn.
I think one other part of it is that maybe, I think in our approach and what we do with most companies is try and bring out faces in front of the public as much as possible, because that's what people can connect with, is other people essentially. It's a lot better than just having, I don't know, generally a block of text. I know, even though that can work, if you put photos of people, or especially video is always great. People can actually feel like they know you a bit more and then personally relate to you a lot more. And that's going to work a lot better in communicating whatever you're trying to say for start with, than if you're not, basically.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're very focused on bringing our ethos is bring a human element to companies, because one of the defining features of your company, and it's it brings character to your brand, your company, the people who work there, the founders, and everyone all across the organization. That is one of your kind of unique identifying things, especially in the social media age, where the building of personal brands and productizing yourself, that's a Navalism for those who listen to or follow Naval Ravikant. But yeah, productizing yourself, and therefore, like if you're a founder of something, for example, and you can basically generate a lot of interest around you, people tend to be interested in and follow and react to people, not faceless organizations. So, and the same is true on LinkedIn. What gets generally the best engagement, most likes, most shares, are things and stories involving people.
People, yeah. And I think another thing that if people don't know what to post, so obviously, well, let's go to staying on the personal thing actually. What do you think, what types of content would we put out for companies to show that personal approach, really?
It really varies depending on the company and the brand and their tone of voice. But things that you can never really go wrong with is introducing members of the company, ask them kind of what they do, what they like about working where they work.
Yeah.
If you're talking to founders or early stage people, why are they passionate about this? Why did they found this? Why did they start this? Because the why question brings, a lot of authenticity. If people are passionate about their brands and what they do, then that really comes across.
Yeah. So it's just like, going around and picking out people from the company and showing those to the public, so people can start to get a feel for who are the kind of people who work at the companies. And yeah, I think it brings a lot to the table, really. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's something that we've, in terms of treating ourselves as our own client, we've really focused in on. And the question is, there might be many companies that do something similar to you out there, or brands, and how do you differentiate yourself? And one of those differentiators is you and the people who work there. And at the end of the day, someone who hires you or a customer who comes to your shop or whatever is generally going to have to interact with you and your people. And that's a massive part of the experience. So if they can already be kind of convinced that you guys are nice to work with, or you're going to be friendly and fun, then that's a really big win. Because otherwise you've got like a faceless organization or whatever, and I've got no idea what it's like to work with these people. Like, they might have fantastic product, but what's it going to be like if I have to do a 6-month project with them? I'm not going to get on with them. And having at least some human kind of content, interviews, podcasts, people speaking, you start to at least get a sense of what it'd be like to sit in a room with someone and work with them, and you can feel whether that's going to work or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of, if we're trying to think of stuff that's not necessarily just, talking about what people like and stuff like that, because that's good once you've got a core audience or whatever, which is really good. But if you were going to talk about trying to provide value to people within the same industry, I'd say probably one of the best ways is talking about up-to-date news topics within that industry, which is valuable to everyone who's in there, especially maybe people who are younger, who are coming up and stuff like that. So for example, for financial institutions, talking about macroeconomic stuff is a really good way to do that, because there's a huge amount of interest around those topics, and people are always wanting to know, especially if you're doing a podcast, something like that, and you're keeping people constantly up to date with what's going on in the industry, and then you're also being able to show your knowledge as well and build some authority. I think that's a really good thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. I think social media it's often the question of, you got to provide value, and value can mean a lot of different things. It could mean you're just funny. It could mean that you got just really beautiful photos, or it could mean that you're actually, somewhere like LinkedIn especially, you're imparting knowledge and expertise, which is actually valuable. People can learn things. And the interesting thing with financial institutions is that we know from experience, when it comes to compliance, educational content is considered basically good to go generally. so that's a really good avenue for corporates who might be regulated entities and things to take, because it's still a great way to show expertise, give value to your audience whilst staying kind of above board on compliance issues and things like that.
Yeah. Do you want to say what kind of differentiates us, well, our approach to social media compared to maybe some other companies that you've seen? Yeah.
So, I think social media agencies and management and things can get a bit of a bad rap because we all get those emails in our inboxes saying, in either poorly written English or slightly weird formatting, saying, "Oh, we can 10x your social following and hire us for £100 a month, and we'll do 1 million posts, and it'll be amazing." And you look at that, and you're just like, "No, I want nothing. My brand, I do not want anything to do with that." Which is fair enough. Neither would I, because you're going to get just a kind of mass market. Either maybe they're going to be using bots, they're going to be using some dodgy tactics, follow, unfollow, all of that kind of stuff. And the content, if they're writing stuff, if they're making stuff, it's just not really very good. It doesn't represent you and your brand. And I think where we differentiate ourselves is that when we work with clients doing their social media and their content, it's very much, we get to know their brand, act as part of their marketing team, act as an extension to that. Yeah. So not a replacement, but actually then produce high quality content that actually reflects who and what their brand is in an authentic way, because that's ultimately how you're going to provide value on social media, build social media followings, and then further down the line, bring those people, through your door, as it were, to do business.
Do you want to kind of talk a bit more about how we act as an extension? What does that really mean? Because I think a lot of companies might feel maybe a bit intimidated by the thought of someone coming in and just taking over the social media, especially if they've already got like marketing department. It's like, how exactly do we fit in that?
Certainly in my experience, marketing departments normally don't have enough hands on tech to be doing all the things that they know that they should be doing or want to be doing. We're certainly not a replacement for a marketing manager, a brand manager, things like that, because we need them to still be the kind of stakeholder for the brand and overall marketing strategy. We come to them and the marketing team with some fresh ideas, some expertise on content, some expertise on how to get the best out of given platforms, and we'll give advice. But at the end of the day, we still need the brand and marketing team from the client to be saying, this is us, this is the plan, this is our tone of voice. And we can then go away and enact that. But we work on that together with them. Yeah. Otherwise, it would just become us doing our own thing under someone else's name, which you just can't do.
We basically just allow to provide that higher production value content, which they won't be able to do themselves for the most part, whilst still being able to work with them, so forth.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes it feels like, social media, super easy. It'll take me 5 minutes every day, get a good post out, and that'll be it. But the reality is that that's not actually true. If you're trying to consistently put out good quality content and things which engage and have a bit of a plan, you need a content calendar and a plan that goes into the future. You need to be thinking about what you're doing, what you're posting, who you're communicating with, and when. And then if you want to be producing high quality visual content, photo, animation, video to go along with that, then it takes quite a lot of people, quite a lot of expertise to do that. And in-house marketing teams won't always necessarily have that, or they might have that, but they're all busy with the million other things that brand and marketing teams have to do within a company anyway. Yeah. So that's generally where we come in and help out.
Yeah, I feel like we've probably covered most things. Unless, do you think there's anything particularly about LinkedIn that you think we should be talking about?
I think, and this isn't just LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is especially bad for it. I think brands are very risk averse. Companies are very risk averse. And I understand why, but it doesn't do you any favors. And I don't mean jump into like really contentious or hot button issues.
Yeah.
But I mean, some brands and companies act as if they're afraid to show any personality whatsoever. And they're just going to be some kind of like corporate automaton, exactly faceless, the same as, faceless. They're going to speak in really bland terms, and it's all there. But the problem with that is that you end up being just like everyone else, and there's nothing to differentiate you. Whereas brands who are a little bit more prepared to take the risk, I say that in inverted commas because I don't think it's really a risk, of showing some personality, bringing some of their characters to the fore. You know, sure, some people might see that content, might see you and your character in your company and say, that's not for me. And in that case, you've got to be confident enough in your brand and your image to say that's okay, because we don't want to work with and for everyone.
Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous. You can't be everything to everyone.
You want people who are going to align with your brand values and who you are as people.
Yeah, I think you want to be more focused on the upside of that. Is that sure there will be some people who'll see that side of you and they'll think, that doesn't align with me, but there'll be more people who see that and think, oh yeah, that's me, that's my brand. I want to work with this person. I want to work for this person. So you'll capture that upside. Yeah. So, and the downside is that you won't be working with or talking to people who you realistically don't want to in the long run anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to me that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but I think people in brands just get stuck in corporate speak land and corporate comms land, and never show any personality.
Maybe a good example of someone who might have stepped in the mud a bit is like Oatly. Have you seen all the drama recently?
I haven't. Please tell me.
Well, to be fair, I've only briefly looked at it, but I feel like they've had some investment from, I think it might have been, I'm not going to say because I'm going to get it wrong, but basically a company that, because obviously Oatly's very eco-friendly, all that kind of stuff, and they've gone with, someone's put a load of investment into them, which their brand values don't necessarily align with that. And things I'm not going to talk like I'm an expert on the subject, but they've basically got a lot of backlash for that, because they're basically saying, oh, you've sold out for a load of money kind of thing, you shouldn't have taken investment from these people. But I don't know, the point is I don't know, they've been saying that obviously it's not that bad and there's reason for what they're doing, and they're hoping basically that they can then bring these values to the people between all these companies that are kind of getting invested in. Kind of, they want to, I don't know, it's that kind of thing. But in my opinion, even though they've taken like a wrong foot, in the long run, it might have taken them a couple of steps back. But I think you can always recover from that if you have true intention and it is authentic, which I think like a brand like Oatly is, in my opinion. But my point is like, even if you make a mistake or something doesn't look good, if you keep on putting out stuff that is genuine and you do have good intentions as a brand, that should overpower one mistake that you do in the long run.
Yeah, I think, and you build that goodwill over time as well. So that if you've consistently been authentic and true to your values and spoken in that way all the time, if you make a misstep, and people make missteps, companies make missteps, that's fine. There will be some backlash, but if you remain authentic and genuine about your intentions and apologize when you need to apologize, then
it's not that bad.
Yeah, plenty of companies ride that roller coaster up and down. So I don't think people should be overly risk averse, because it's hurting their business more than taking that little bit of risk, showing some personality.
100%.
Yeah. Thanks, Oatly.
Yeah, thanks, Ellis. Cheers for that.
I think actually just on the personality thing, just an example is things like so we obviously film for a lot of different organizations and companies. Yeah. And of course, when you film interviews and things, there's always bloopers and mess ups and things like that. What we've done quite a lot of in the past, and some of it makes its way to social media, is put together little blooper reels, or, you know, just funny little things of all the times someone fluffed their lines and things like that. And stuff like that, it feels like the initial corporate reaction is to say, oh, no, don't no imperfection. But actually, it's like when stuff like that does make it onto social media, it's in a controlled way. Like there's some editing and it's not just a complete free for all, but it's, you know, it shows some personality.
And usually that gets some of the best reaction, really.
100%.
You're right there.
I'm just getting so emotional about blooper reels. So I just
no, but it's true. It's like
lunch there.
When people, if you don't always try and show like a super perfect situation the whole time, I think people kind of respect that a lot more, and they can see that you're being slightly vulnerable in a way, but they see the funny side in it, and then they're going to connect with that a lot more. And I think if more companies could kind of see the value in that, I think they would do a lot better in social media.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, your customers and clients are, surprise, surprise, human beings, and human beings react well to other human beings. And when you have people reading off an auto key or super scripted, very uptight, then you end up with
robots.
Yeah, robots. And people don't connect with that.
No.
It's much better to show a human side, show some mistakes in a funny light, and put your hands up and say, oh yeah, we messed up or did this, and it's funny. It gets better reactions, builds more trust.
I think another thing for companies that do put out a lot of blog posts, and they have that side of their content sorted out. Even if they're doing like interviews and stuff like that, it's because I've seen a lot of companies do that. And then, as I said before, they're not putting this kind of stuff into video form at all. Like, that is a great opportunity to, you know, put that into video form. If you already have content strategy sorted out for blogs, put it into video. It's going to do so well. Yeah,
I mean, like, this isn't to knock blogs and written content. They're a really important part of the content plan. Yeah. But if that's the only thing you're posting, and it's just links out from LinkedIn, then it's not going to get the traction and the engagement that you'd like. And it's so simple. Turn those into, as you said, video content. Speak with the author of the blog, get them to summarize what they were thinking when they wrote it, or at the very least, post some pictures with the link to the blog that are relevant to that, or a picture of the author or something like that. Because you've got all this great rich content there kind of waiting to be made into other forms of multimedia content. So take advantage of that, because you've already done a lot of the hard work of thinking what you're going to say and what you want to talk about. So
another one content idea for these companies is probably a lot of them are already doing talks. I don't know, each of them will have their own subjects based on what industry they're in. But if you're already doing those talks, it's like taking small clips out of them and turning those into posts is a really good way to get content, because usually a talk will last an hour. From that, you can at least get at least 5 decent clips. I mean, usually more. Yeah,
if not more, probably hundreds sometimes.
Literally. So, you know, well, that's what we've done with our clients before. It's like we film a whole talk, and then we'll take those and turn them into social media posts that's already and sorted. It's like such a good way to get content.
Yeah, like if you're in that kind of industry, that space where there's a lot of, we're talking again about educational, there's people talking, giving seminars or lectures on interesting topics. You're getting to show off your expertise by, get the talks professionally filmed and cut them up, and you got 5, 10, 20 pieces of great video content out there that's going to bring a lot of value to your audience. Use it.
Yeah. And I think like the final thing is, and in terms of content ideas as well, is just events that are current, that are happening around your work. So not necessarily, I know we've already talked about talking about current events within the industry, but showing what's going on behind the company always works really well. And I don't know. So, for example, showing one of these talks, I know that we've made posts where we show like some photos or even like a highlight reel of the event, and they always go down really well. So basically, out of these events, you can really get a lot of content out of them that goes down really well.
Yeah, I think the overarching message on that, on blogs and written content and events, offsites, talks, things like that, a lot of these are things that companies are already doing. Yeah. They've kind of cottoned onto that. That's been part of the marketing strategy for, well, decades in some places. So this is an opportunity to just leverage it even more, get more legs out of it, get some photo, get some video,
get it to a wider audience, basically.
Yeah. Get more money's worth out of something that you're already doing.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's it.
I think that's it. I think we've basically covered majority of what we think about that. Yeah.
So Teralon Talks, episode 9. I thought that was really good. A lot of companies are fairly new to using LinkedIn for professional purposes, but it's getting there. So I think it's a really interesting space. And yeah, thanks for listening. We'll catch you again soon.
Subscribe.
Bye.